Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Realema Foundation virtual Nelson Mandela Day. I hope you guys are going to enjoy our first virtual event. My name is Bridget Mjali, and with me I have
Nicholas Sitole,
Marcelo Christopher Chavedi.
Retavilo Joshua Masolani.
Hi guys, my name is Moshomi Felix Chavedi.
Thank you, team. So what today is about is basically looking back at Nelson Mandela's history and the influence that he had, specifically the day chosen to celebrate him. And what we're going to do is look at some themes that we can speak to and use him as a backdrop for our conversation. But before we get into the session, I'm going to ask Felix, one of our directors, to just tell you what the foundation is about and what we seek to do, and basically what we're here to do. Felix?
Thank you for the introduction, Bridget. Once again, thanks everyone for that is watching this video. I think before I talked about who Realema is or what Realema does, it is important for us to also explain what problem are we trying to solve. What we realize is that a lot of young people have a lot of potential naturally, right? But along their teenage years, they make a lot of bad decisions that actually end up with them ending up in situations later on where they are trapped in a life that they never envisioned for themselves. So we thought, you know what, instead of us sitting on the sidelines complaining about what the government does or doesn't do, how about we take initiative on our side and make sure that we put specific actions in place to make sure that we change status quo, right? We don't want it to be those people that make noise about the unemployment statistics for the youth. We are actually taking action to try and help change status quo and alleviate that problem, right? So who is Realema and what is Realema about? Realema is a non-profit organization that was created by the youth and for the youth, okay? So our vision is to play our part in nation building. And how do we do that? So we do that by making information readily available for young people, whether they're in high school or they're already in tertiary institutions or they're actually unemployed. We try and help them by making information readily available for them to try and make sure that, number one, they either make informed decisions in terms of choosing careers or tertiary institutions where they study. If they have challenges in terms of applications, we also help with those and bursaries, right? Number two, if someone wants to start working, but they need assistance with things like interview techniques and just making information accessible to them, we also help in that area. And the last point that we really focus on is to say, if someone has an entrepreneurial ambition, but they don't know where to start, we also help from an information perspective and where we have someone available in our network that can help with mentorship. We also facilitate bringing those people together to make sure that that young person can make the right choices going forward. So that's who we are, and we hope to engage with our listeners further going into the future.
Thank you, Felix. Now that we all know who we are, and I'm hoping that for anyone who didn't know, you will, hopefully you're aligned to what we're trying to achieve. And yeah, we're looking forward to engaging with you in the future. So to set the scene or set the tone for our conversation for today, we're gonna first look at a video where Nelson Mandela was being interviewed by Ted Koppel. Enjoy.
Apparently, Mr. Koppel, you have not listened to my argument. If you have done so, then you have not been serious in examining it. I have replied to one of our friends here that I have refused to be drawn into the differences that exist between various communities inside the USA You have not commented that I am going to offend anybody by refusing to involve myself in the internal affairs of the USA, of the USA. Why are you so keen that I should involve myself in the internal affairs of Cuba and Libya?
No.
I expect you to be consistent. I don't know if I have paralyzed you.
No. I'm afraid, Mr. Mandela, that paralysis does not set in quite that easily in my case. The point... since I've just about recovered from my paralysis, I want to come back to that question in just a moment, but first, we need to take a break.
Welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I think we can all agree that, short as it is, it was a very powerful 2.5 minutes. And I think it's a very defining moment. And I think it'll help carry our conversation around youth and leadership. So to kick off the session, I'd like to just get some views from the team of, firstly, what is leadership to you? What does leadership mean to you?
So to me, leadership, it means like becoming the hero that you need in your community. It's more of like becoming the role model that you want to be. So let's say your role model, for example, it's Tata. Becoming a leader, it's basically taking the steps that are leading you to become Utata, you know. It's more of pushing the inner person inside you into the abode of their dreams. Because for me, I believe that you have an inner person and an outer person. And I believe that the inner person influences what the outer person does, but it is always the outer person that executes. So I believe that it's about you as the outer person leading or pushing the inner person into the abode of their dreams. To me, being a leader, it's about becoming the prodigy in a state of normality.
Nice. Anyone else?
Hi guys, for me leadership means leading by example, having a clear vision of what you want to achieve and how you go about achieving that specific vision, and always being in the forefront of whatever you want to achieve. Like the video we just watched of Tata, he was very firm in putting his point across. You need to be firm, you need to believe what you want to do, and definitely you'll be a recognizable leader. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Chris. Josh?
Hi guys again. For me, leadership is about leading the way, either direct or indirect, meaning you can lead someone without knowing that you are indirectly motivating them or skilling them or any other how. And the other thing that I want to mention is that leadership is about having a sense of purpose, a sense of direction of where you're going in life, so people can follow you. And it's about guiding the people who believe and trust in you for a better tomorrow. And it's also about being committed to your goals while building trust with your followers, so they know that we are trusting in this person. And also showing up for those people at all times, at all days, is the most important one. So that's what leadership is for me.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Josh. Felix?
Guys, I think really from my side, if you really think about that, there's a lifelong argument to say, are leaders born or are leaders created, right? And I think there's no right or wrong. So first thing, I genuinely believe leadership is a very personal thing, and it's subjective based on where you're coming from, right? So essentially, I think there's the textbook definition of what is a leader. And from that perspective, we can talk about key qualities that leaders should have. So as an example, we can talk about people that invest in their own knowledge. We can talk about people that have situational awareness. We can talk about people that have compassion and empathy. We can talk about people that have morals and ethics, right? We can also look at people that like that is very charismatic. Therefore, communication becomes a very, very key characteristic of a leader. But above all of those things, I believe if a leader does not have a clear purpose, then that person that doesn't become a really, really good leader. So my personal perspective is that number one, a leader is really crafted by their life experiences, right? And then obviously, as you start comparing people, we have just a general leader, then you get a good leader, and then you get a great leader, right? Levels, so I think in that perspective, I think we need to then realize that there will be different types of leaders that have different sort of talents. Therefore, from our perspective as Realema, we are hoping to contribute to create community leaders, to create business leaders, to create political leaders, but political leaders that have morals and ethics. So that's my perspective on leadership.
Definitely. And I think the team has listed a few valuable attributes that I think a lot of people can relate with. And because it's such a subjective thing and we all have our views on what leadership is, regardless of whether you liken it to someone who has influence, someone who, whether it's big or small, loud or in the quiet. But I think we can all agree that it requires us to show up in whatever space that we're in, and however we lead, we're required to really show up, and just be exemplary in a lot of what we do. So thank you to the team. Okay, so now that we've defined what leadership is, we used a lot of attributes. We defined a lot of attributes. We gave quite a few characteristics of what a leader is. Now, I just want us to look at all the characteristics that we've listed or attributes. How does one, now having defined what leadership is, how does one develop themselves to become a leader? What skills need to be developed? What are some of the things that people need to look out for or focus on? Just some views from you guys on that.
Hi everyone. I think a few attributes that a good leader needs is you need to be able to practice discipline. I think when you are disciplined, everything goes smoother. I think a good leader needs discipline. To develop discipline is in your professional life and in everything that you do. For instance, once you have discipline, everything goes easily. For example, being disciplined is arriving on time for meetings, showing up for appointments, and doing what is required of you or what you basically promise from your side. So I think you need to practice discipline and to take on projects. Taking on projects is, for an example, as simple as joining your choir, joining a youth team, joining a soccer team. That will instill discipline in you because you'll have a schedule in where you do different things in your life and where you basically set a timetable and say, this is when I'll do this and that. And then you will learn from different people in that perspective. So I think take on new projects and being disciplined. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Chris. Josh?
Hi, guys. So yeah, I like this part of the session on how we can develop leadership skills. Like as Masilo Orke said, like guys, for me, I will say, guys, one thing that I will stress out is that keep learning. You can never be a great leader without learning. learning is a very powerful thing to go about. So, and the thing about leaders is that it's a vice versa thing. A leader can also learn from the followers, and the followers will learn a lot from the leader. So that's the main thing. Keep learning, keep learning, keep learning. And from learning, you'll just get a lot of things along the way. You learn a lot. You'll stay ahead of everyone because you are being a leader. You need to put focus to say like, okay, this is where I'm going for me to get to actually achieve my goal. So you'll need to be relevant also in terms of the technology that we're using and how to stay relevant. And the other thing that I want to touch on is that communication, guys. Communication will help you be a great leader. Communication is the most powerful tool that we can use. So the better you start learning on how to communicate right, the better you will be to upskill yourself to be a great leader in life. So those are the two things that I think they're most important for someone to actually become a great leader in life.
Definitely. I'm liking the points coming through. So we have discipline, we have learning, continuing to learn. We have communication. Does anyone else have anything to add?
Yes, Bridget. I actually have something to add. I think, just to reiterate my message earlier on, I genuinely think leadership is not a destination, but it's about the journey, right, that you take through life. So with your day-to-day activities and life experiences, they actually keep on polishing you. If you really take the example of a diamond, right? You dig a diamond deep in the belly of the earth, but you really need to polish it to make it appealing and beautiful to the general public. Therefore, for you to be this exemplary leader, you need to, in your day-to-day activities, in your community, in your work environment or in your school environment, participate in activities that actually help to craft you to be a better leader. So if we take in the example of Tata, right? The book that was, one of the books that was written about him is titled The Long Walk to Freedom, right? People really, and in some cases only took notice of Nelson Mandela after South Africa gained freedom. But it's the whole journey that actually got us to the sort of achievement of freedom that made him a great leader. Thanks.
Thank you, team. I think for anyone who's looking to develop themselves as a leader, to be intentional about being a leader, you guys have given valuable advice, or you've at least crafted or defined or made a material for them to understand how does one show up as a leader. And I think for anyone who is disciplined in the small things and in the big things, if you are open to learning, if you are intentional about communicating with people, and you understand that there isn't an ultimate, but in every moment or small opportunity, you are intentional about leading in that instance, I think we can all agree that you're well on your way to being a good leader. So, so what we have at this point is, firstly, a definition of a leader. We understand what skills a leader requires, or what attributes we've given to a leader. This isn't a closed list because, like we said, leadership is subjective. So whatever you liken it to or attribute it to, that is also included. But now I want us to focus on what are some of the challenges that a leader will face, because I think we can all agree that it's not all rosy, it's not all you don't get applauded all the time like we see in the video. So what are some of the challenges that a leader would face?
Okay, so Bridget, I think for me this is the tough part of leadership, right? Because sometimes we tend to just focus on the glory. Once the people have gained publicity and everyone is giving them the props, that's where we focus. But we often forget, how did the person get there? So one of the big things that I think young people need to be aware of, for you to be a great leader, there's a lot of sacrifice that is required, right? So from a Realema perspective, one of the things that we try and make sure that our young people or our benefactors are aware of is that there's certain segments of your life. We talk about life in 8 segments, right? You can talk about spirituality, health, personal space, hobbies, relationships, career, job, family, and friends, right? Essentially, if you want to be a leader in a specific area, you're going to put in a lot of effort in that area. And essentially, it means you sacrificing time in the other areas, right? So personal sacrifice is one of the big things that you definitely going to have to sacrifice as a leader, right? But another challenge that I have personally realized is that for you to really progress through life a lot quicker, you need to choose the correct mentor, right? And you need to choose a mentor that is invested in you becoming the best version of yourself, instead of them sort of using you to achieve, as an example, their ambitions in their career or to impress their boss. But really a mentor that is invested in your well-being and you being the best version of yourself.
Definitely.
So for me, leadership is tied to one. First of all, leadership is tied to one's goal. You know, so in order for someone to be a leader, there'll be something that they will want to achieve. So the challenges that each of them will face will be determined by what they want to achieve. Let's say you want to start a revolution against a corrupt government, or you want to protect your society, or you want to build a reading nation in Ivory Park, or any community that you come from. The challenges that one would face would be like keeping the vision visible, because it's not always the case that people will see what you see as a leader. So one challenge would be you keeping that vision visible, and it requires some sort of a skill in order for you, the skill can be a contributing factor for you to build as a leader, to keep the vision visible. And another challenge would be installing a suspense of belief in the people that you are leading, based on the goal that you want to achieve. We can take like Tata, for example, since we're celebrating his day today. The comrades that he had and those people who voted for the African National Congress back then had to have, or had to receive, the vision that Tata had to also believe what Tata believed in. And that bridge on its own, it's not easy to be a leader in order to install that vision and to keep that vision visible. And that on its own, it wasn't, like I'm saying, that is an easy process because it required a sense of bravery. So the challenge that a leader can face, it's keeping the vision visible and installing a sense of belief in the people that the leader is leading, and to be brave and to make those people that you are leading to be brave as you. So it's more of like creating a ripple effect to those who are not brave in what you believe in.
Definitely. I think some valuable considerations there. Does anyone have anything to add?
I think remaining consistent, just in a summary, is just being consistent and always working at your vision. So sometimes, you get distracted, life happens. Every single day, life happens and it will distract you from your goal. I think that's one of the main challenges that you will face, just staying firm and staying consistent. Thank you.
Definitely. And I think, I'm glad that we're dealing with all the facets of leadership, and we're not just focusing on the end, the applauding, the glory, but we're highlighting that actually leadership requires you to be very intentional, and there's a lot of personal mastery that comes with it. So thank you to the team. Now I think having spoken to leadership, and I think just speaking to themes that the youth can relate with, what is the key takeaway or a recommendation that you have for the youth, in line with what we've discussed, or anything else that you think would be valuable to them? So just think youth, or even to your younger self, what would you want your younger self to take away from this session? We can start with Nicholas.
Okay, thanks, Bray. I think one thing that the young people like myself can take is that becoming a prodigy in a state of normality. Like I said, when I defined a leader, what a leader means to me. So it's becoming a prodigy in a state of normality. I mean, you need to choose to be extraordinary, you know, and believe that you're extraordinary. Because I feel like the great leaders like Nelson Mandela, Fidel Castro, Martin Luther King, and the list goes on and on. Those people themselves, they decided to be different, you know, to be prodigies in their communities, to be extraordinary, and they believed that they were. And I think when you decide to become that kind of person, a prodigy in your community, you become different. And I think the reason why also a lot of communities, like we have a lot of disadvantaged communities, is because of it lacks those people who end up believing that they are extraordinary. And it takes courage. So what I think the youth can take as a key takeaway today is decide to be a prodigy and believe that you're extraordinary so that you build your community, you know. So yeah, that's my key takeaway.
Thank you, Nicholas.
Yeah. So from my end, I think if I could speak to my younger self, I would say to myself, you know what, Chris, take on more responsibility, because this will help me in enhancing my leadership skills. You'll notice that most CEOs are on multiple boards. I think that's intentional in a way of you will face in different environments, and you will learn different things and different skills from those different environments. So the moment you are part of a youth league, the moment you are part of a soccer team, the moment you are part of something different in your normal life, I think it will enhance your leadership skills. And I would tell myself to, you need to have a clear vision of what you want to do and how you are going to go about it. And also to surround myself with people with a similar vision or with a great vision. I think that will also assist you in developing as an individual. So that's what I'll say to my younger self.
Nice.
Yeah, that was powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, from my side, the key takeaways that I will say to myself, to my younger self, or to the youth of South Africa is that, guys, you can never learn enough. You can never learn enough. So for me, the most thing, I come from very rural area, so me coming to Joburg was those type of situation. Jimmy comes to Joburg. So, but you know what? When I got here, I had people that I was looking up to that showed me that, you know what, you can make it as long as you keep learning new things, as long as you believe in yourself, as long as you surround yourself with people who are doing something well in life, who are doing things that are more productive in life. So for me, the key takeaway is that, guys, keep learning. You can never learn enough. And the other thing is communication. I was bad at communication also. So to everyone who's younger, please start learning today on how to communicate right. Office etiquettes, text etiquettes, call etiquettes, all of those, they play a factor in life. So thank you very much, guys. So take those things into it. Thanks, Bridget.
Thank you, Josh. Felix?
Well, Bridget, well, I think the guys have mentioned a lot of good points, right? Looking back at my own personal development and looking at my career, right? I would say, Felix, be clear about what your life purpose is and put all your effort in that purpose. That's number one. Number two, find a mentor, right, that has achieved what you want to achieve or even more. Okay, so if I could choose a mentor for myself, I'd say, Ntate Bonam Mohali, can you please be my mentor? I really appreciate how the man communicates and what he has achieved in his career and his background. If you really read about his background, he comes from very humble beginnings, but what he has achieved, the people that he has mentored, and you can just see the results of his work, right? So mentorship is a very important one for me. The second one that is important, which I've already alluded to, right, is life purpose, okay? Find your talent and be clear about what your purpose in life is and invest everything in it, okay? And now just to really emphasize what I mean about life purpose, I will quote a few words from what Tata said, or his speech in the Rivonial trial. And I quote, he said, I have dedicated my life to this struggle of African people. I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all people will live together in harmony with equal opportunities. He further said, it is an ideal for which I hope to live for and to see realized. But my Lord, if it needs to be, it is an ideal for which I'm prepared to die. Now, how many of us as leaders have a very clear purpose in life for which the ultimate is, if need be, I'm willing to die for this purpose? Thank you.
Thank you, team. I think anyone who's watching this will really benefit from the points that you've made. And I think to close off the session, because as I mentioned earlier, it's important to make things material, real, and tangible for people. So I think each of you could just mention, for you, who do you think effectively exudes or is a clear example of leadership? So for anyone who maybe hasn't been exposed to the things that we discussed, what's the one person you want them to liken leadership to, so that they get a sense of what our session was about?
So to me, coming from the film and television, background as a student, and I mean, leadership is everywhere. So for me, I would say Thabang Moleya, because his work, it pervades any other artwork, within the film and television industry. I mean, he's leading in producing, he's leading in the writing team, he's leading in the directing team, and how the story is developed, which to touch the human heart. So I feel myself that, Thabang Moleya would be a reflection of who a leader is to me as a young filmmaker.
Nice.
From my end, I would say Professor Lumumba. I don't know if any of you have heard about him. He's very famous for his speeches about Africa and the direction that Africa needs to go into. So he's my favorite person to listen to. He always has valid points. He wants to uplift Africa in an international way where we can stand on our own. So if you have a chance, please watch his videos and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay. For me, guys, it's a very obvious person for everyone because he believes in change. So for me, it's going to be Barack Obama. That guy believes in change. I don't know if you guys still remember his motto. The motto was like something like change. It's more about change, creating change for yourself, creating change for everyone. So for me, Barack Obama will do.
Definitely, yes. Thank you, Josh. Felix?
I think I've already said from my perspective, there's really quite a lot of people that I follow from a business landscape, the Elon Musk, Richard Branson and whatnot. But in the context of South Africa, Ndate Bonang Mohale really stands out for me in terms of his leadership style in the business fraternity. He's very impartial, he's very well-spoken, he's soft-spoken, but his message always gets across quite crisply, and he mentors a lot of people, and you can see those people sort of what impact they're starting to have in the general community and South African business fraternity.
Thank you, guys. I think a lot of people will be intrigued by some of the names that you've mentioned, and I love that it's not people that are known by everyone, like Nelson Mandela, for example. Great a leader as he is, I think it also shows us that we find leaders in all the spaces that we're in. So I think everyone will start to think about, who do I think of as a leader? Because I think for me personally, I don't think I have anyone who comes to mind specifically, but there are certain themes that when someone behaves in a certain manner or carries themselves in a certain manner or handles the situation in a certain way, that for me, it defines leadership, or I liken it to leadership, because I think I believe in taking the good from whatever situation we have. So I don't usually, attribute it to a person, but if there's certain characteristics that I appreciate about them, definitely in my mind gets put down as this person is a leader, or they can show up as a leader. So thank you guys. This was a lovely, lovely, lovely session.